Hello, in this video we'll be making a floating bedside cabinet with some pattern ply edging with a little hidden extra. Again, thanks very much for watching. See you next time. Here we're just gluing up some of the lippings. These ones will be for the 45-degree bevel cut that we'll be doing later on. Again, I'm using Type Bond 2 glue. I'm using the Rockler brushes just to get the glue on. So plenty of glue, with it being end grain. Line them up, squeeze them together, wipe off the excess and then just put it to one side. We'll clamp them all up as a bulk later on. There will be links in the description also for the full how-tos on how to do patterned ply. So we've got the edge banding that I've done all the way around the outside of the piece. And this was made up of 3 separate pieces of the pattern ply. And you can see I've done 2 basically 45 mitre pieces, so it wraps around, then a chunkier piece, again with a 45, so it shows the pattern all the way around on all 3 angles. Now, for the main carcass of the bedside unit, I've also just cut up some plywood, and what we're going to do is I've done this other edge banding. Again, it's the diamonds format, 10mm thick, and we're going to stick it onto all the front edges. Now you can pin these on obviously if you want to, but a good little hack that I've done quite a lot of them is basically these cheap little plastic clamps from Amazon. Bit of an inner tube, about 5 inches roughly, give or take, and then you just put it over the edges like so, and there you have a perfect edge band clamp. And it's a lot cheaper than, say, the Rockler brands. So we should put plenty of glue on the edge, spread it around, make sure all of it's covered. Bit of our edge banding, clamps, just push them over like so. That'll hold it nice and tight while the glue dries and goes off. So I've got the 2 shelves on the 2 sides here. I'll do the same for all these pieces now. So they're all glued up, we'll let these dry. As I say, that makes each of these clamps a couple of pounds, opposed to, I think the Rockler ones are £30 for the 4 clamps. So it's a very cheap little nice easy hack. So I'll say we'll let all these dry now, and then we'll come back and we'll trim them all up with a flush trim to make sure they're nice and flush, and then we're going to joint the sides together using the Lamello Zeta. These have now been drying for a couple of hours, so it's just a case of whipping the clamps off, and we just need to, because the edges are just slightly wider than the piece of ply, we're just going to use a flush trim router bit into this little trim router. I've had this for several years now. Now it is a Chinese copy of a very well-known turquoise branded tool, but to be honest, because I only use it every now and again, I use it for cutting out door hinges as well on the jobs, and to be honest, it's been absolutely faultless. They are great, these little trim routers. I do think when this dies though, I will actually be purchasing the DeWalt battery 18-volt one. So it's just a case of setting up the router bits, the bearings just sat on the piece of birch ply here, and then obviously the cutter, you want it to be sat over the bit you want to trim. So I like to do it in a couple of passes just to make sure that it is perfectly flush all the way around. I'll go ahead and do this to all the other panels that I've got that we've glued up already, and then everything will just need, I'll give everything a quick sand first before we go on to the next stage of install. So to join all this carcass up, I'm going to use the Lamello Rosetta just because it's quick and easy. I'll be using these P14 Tenso connectors. I will do a future video on showing you how to use the Lamello, but for now I'm just going to get on and get all the joints cut. Assembling, I will actually sand this, use the wood prep for the Ruby monocoats, then give it a quick denib, because the more you do before assembly, the easier it makes for getting the finish on. So when you come to put the Lamello connectors together, it is really simple. Is you just slide them in place, you have one side on one side, slide in. So this is the normal bit, then on the shelf, and on the bottom we'll put the bit that has the fingers on. You just need to make sure you get it the way you've referenced it round the correct way, because obviously you always reference off the same edge. You knock it into place. And just the same thing with the top. Now these are meant to hold to be like 80 Newton meters, I think, of force per clip. So they are actually ridiculously strong, these Lamello connectors. With the P14s you don't necessarily need to use the pre-tensioners, whereas if you're using the P10 ones, there's these little clips that you put as a pre-tensioner. Just make it a little bit easier for sliding when you're clipping it into place. So it's just a case of lining it up, being well. With the tolerances being so tight, that's why I was struggling to get this side in. I just had to push one of the little fingers out slightly so it lined up. And there you have it. That is one unit. Again, the only thing I've got left to do now is I'm going to put a maker's mark on the underside of it. Again, these were some smelly cat creations, so I'm just going to hide this somewhere underneath at the bottom, and it will also have, I'll put some keyhole fixings in this back edge here so it can hang onto the wall once it's been done. We're doing this in a gris beige.
Is that the correct pronunciation? Gris beige? Yorkshire Fridge.
Gruyberge.
The purpose of this video, that's exactly how you pronounce it. Dub. So I've just used 7mm the activator. I know it's not quite 100% right, but it's close enough. Now I know people do say that you can pour it directly onto the workpiece. Personally, I don't like that. Again, I see people things do.
Softer woods.
No, but even still, even with any wood, I don't like pouring it directly onto the wood. I like starting off with my pad. And the reason I like the beige pad, is because I feel that you can really sort of get in with the grain. Now, especially with things like the free colours, I know you can, hypothetically, we can use rollers, microfiber pads and all that. Personally, the only thing I ever use for any application, through trial and error, are these grey pads. There'll be links in the description down below on the full how-tos on how to apply Rubio Monocoat also. So there we have it, the finished piece with built-in Apple MagSafe charger. Thanks again for watching. Ciao.